But let's bring in Danny Williams now, another name. He is the president of the Greater Manchester Chamber of Commerce. And you're now dealing with Network North, not with HS2. Does it chime with you?
I don't think it does. And it doesn't chime with a lot of the people of Greater Manchester and the North as a whole either. It's very much a promise that's been broken and something that we were eagerly anticipating to progress and go ahead in terms of levelling up.
And what in detail is the problem? Because clearly we've got the high-speed link now from Birmingham to Manchester off the planning, but we've got instead what the Prime Minister indicated would be other substantial investment. Manchester to Liverpool, 12 billion, although it won't be high-speed rail, a Midlands rail hub, the West Midlands Metro extended, the Leeds tram, electrifying the North Wales main line. So significant, 36 billion being spent, but not the high-speed sort of pinnacle, if you like.
Well, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, we obviously welcome further investment in the North as a whole, and this new Network North is going to be a key part of that. But the reality is the access to opportunities from Greater Manchester for many of the business community that we are lacking and want to progress is down in London. And that was part of the HS2 programme and the unlocking of that opportunity for the business community in Greater Manchester.
But does it not lessen the blow a bit that you know now that there is going to be a lot of money poured into plenty of road and rail projects, including £12 billion protected to link up Manchester and Liverpool as planned? There's still lots of stuff that's going ahead here.
Yeah, hugely positive updates in terms of continued investment. I guess it's trying to understand what the trade-off is there. If there's a huge amount of investment going into this new Network North, why are we therefore not focusing on continuing the project, the largest infrastructure project in the UK and of our time, continue HS2 to connect the North to the South? The realities are that the opportunities unlocking from Manchester to Bradford in 30 minutes will be hugely different to the level of infrastructure opportunity from Manchester to London. That's the reality.
What do you make of the argument that it's partly due to the pandemic and people do not travel to work as much like they did? I mean, that's been part of the argument, hasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And look, the pandemic has dramatically changed the way that we live and the way that we therefore commute to work. But ultimately, for me, this level of opportunity to travel down to London and also to challenge the current West Coast main line as well, that's a key part of that in the future, is absolutely essential to encouraging people to come back into the offices, back into the city centres.
So was the Prime Minister wrong in the assertion he made that East-West is more important than North-South? Because I think one of the things that you're very concerned with there in Manchester in particular was the freeing up of the West Coast main line that HS2 would have provided to get trade and goods traffic onto that main line heading north.
I think it's not really for me to say, is it more important? I think ultimately the decisions being made will naturally be financially driven as well and politically driven. But the fact remains that HS2 was an integral part of a commitment to levelling up and making sure that the North-South divide is reduced. I think naturally that the Network North will be a positive change and further investment's always welcome, but that doesn't change the facts that the leg between now Manchester and Birmingham is now just not going to be high-speed rail. It really completely negates the whole project.
Yeah, and what about then Manchester to Liverpool, a £12 billion link-up, but again, not high-speed rail?
Well, again, the whole point of improving the infrastructure, and I think the high-speed part is often what can blur the lines. This is about infrastructure as well. This is about capacity on the lines and about making sure that there is adequate capacity for people to travel. Also, that for us, it's like to commit to a project like this is probably a similar thing where the Londoners were expecting the Elizabeth line and are stuck with the Metropolitan line. We're not looking second best, we're looking for the future. And part of these decisions seem to be more short-term, which inclines that they are probably more politically driven, as opposed to what his slogan was, which is long-term decisions for the future.
Danny, we have heard just quickly about what we're now being told is Network North. That's how we're going to know it from now on. The big question, though, is will it ultimately be deliverable?
It's a good question, and I mean we'll have to wait and see what the actual plans are and how that's outlined and what the time frame for that is. Naturally, it should be far quicker than what HS2 would have been in terms of the deliverables, and that's part of the benefits, I guess, that the North should expect. But what that looks like, we'll have to wait and see what his plans are.
Danny in Stockport from the Greater Manchester Chambers of Commerce, thank you very much for bringing us your initial reaction.